For 2022, Subaru has made some changes to the BRZ. There's more horsepower, better exterior design, which is a huge improvement, and the interior there are some changes as well, and we're going to take it for a drive. Welcome back to the channel. I'm Lauren Fix. This is the 2022 Subaru BRZ. Although there are some improvements, we know that there are still some things that people would like to see added. So we're going to go through this vehicle in 10 different categories. And then we're going to compare it to some of the vehicles that compete with it directly, such as the Miata, the Mini Cooper, and some of the other vehicles that compete in not just this price point, but in this performance area. This vehicle is very similar to the Toyota 86, which we've also reviewed. We do more than car reviews and first looks of new vehicles. We give you car smarts because knowledge is power. Don't forget to subscribe and click that little bell so you get notifications. You don't want to miss anything. So we're going to start off with this vehicle and we're going to give you some descriptions of the performance and handling and work our way all the way to the back of the vehicle where we'll give you a Car Coach Reports total. It's important to note that when you go to the dealer, they're going to sell you on this vehicle. That's their job. And what we're going to do is tell you all the information you need to know so that you are empowered to make a good decision. Let's get started with Under the Hood. Under the hood is the 2.4 liter Boxer 4. That's a double overhead cam engine that is naturally aspirated with 228 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. Now that is 23 more horsepower than the previous model and 28 more pound-feet of torque over the previous model. Fuel economy, 21 miles to the gallon in the city, 30 highway, 25 combined. One thing you'll also want to note is the Subaru and Toyota names that are right here. This just shows the partnership on this motor. 0 to 60 time is 6 seconds. Sounds like it's struggling a little bit. Try that again in the sport mode. That was in the normal mode. 0 to 66 seconds. Here we go. A little bit of tire spin. Nice. I'm not even shifting. I could. I'll do a little extra shifting here. Car did a really nice job. This is a 2,800 pound car, so you're talking about that horsepower to weight ratio. It's not necessarily how fast it goes 0 to 60, which is around 6 seconds. It does sound like it struggles a little bit. This is not a race car, but a fun sports car, and you can drive it very spirited, and I think that's a big part of owning this vehicle. And those that own BRZs are huge fans, and there are tons of aftermarket parts. The double overhead cam motor really does a good job considering the horsepower that it's putting out. Again, this is a little bit different than some of the other sports cars you might think of, but when you're comparing it to the Miata, which I did review, and you can check that out up here, as well as the Mini Cooper, John Cooper Works, which I really do like. This car's got a lot of fun. Get up and go. It needs an aftermarket exhaust. It just sounds like it's screaming. But if you put an aftermarket exhaust on this vehicle, that would change everything. You'd have less back pressure and this thing would be a blast to drive, and it would sound even better. It does have dual exhaust, but I kind of wish it was a little bit better sounding. But overall, when you're looking at the performance of this vehicle, based on this category and what you're getting for your money, this vehicle earns a 6 for performance. In race mode, the traction control is shut off. However, this Torsen limited slip differential really makes a difference in connecting to the ground. And there is an improvement in handling and makes this vehicle a lot of fun to drive. Anytime you got something that handles like a go-kart, you're gonna have nothing but fun experience in a vehicle like this. And that's really what it's all about, is taking this vehicle out and just enjoying the drive. Stock has 17-inch alloy wheels. Our limited package has the 18-inch alloys on summer performance Michelin tires. It's a very light, well-balanced car, and that's what makes the BRZ a blast to drive. And for handling, it earns a 9. When it comes to safety, Subaru offers the driver assist technology, which includes forward collision warning, which is optional, and automatic emergency braking, as well as lane departure warning, lane keeping assist, and adaptive cruise control. You can access that under your general settings. Under car, you've got your eyesight technology, and it'll tell you about the pre-collision warning, lane departure warning, which I have off right now, lead vehicle acquisition sound, and you can select on the driver's side, left or right. You also have the optional reverse automatic braking, which I think is really important. Keyless system, your defogger, all that's here. Not a lot of safety. You've got your blind spot detection, And that has little information. It tells you blind spot detection, rear cross traffic alert. Excellent options. Unfortunately, you have to buy up to get some of these responsive headlights for your high beam assist, your warning volume. I'm going to turn that down to the minimum. And a lot of this is real easy to use, pretty basic, although this is getting to be standard. And all of these safety features would be nice if they were all standard all the time. I know every brand's starting to work on that. Subaru has done a lot of great work with their eyesight technology, but when it comes to safety for this vehicle in this category, it earns an 8. When it comes to visibility, that's 80% of your driving decisions. And although this vehicle is low and has a good size windshield, you can see out the front. Looking out the side, the sills are a bit high. Part of that is from the exterior, it makes the vehicle look very cool and muscular and modern, but when you're sitting in the vehicle, depending on how you adjust the seat, you know, people typically want to put their arms here. Does that mean much other than you want to be able to see the roadway? So that's part of that. When you put the vehicle in reverse, you get a nice backup camera. It's not exactly the top of the line, but what it does do is it gives you the lines for backing up so you can figure out where you're going. That is good. However, when you turn around and you look out here, there is some good size blind spots. Although this is pretty typical of a vehicle of this size and this style, for visibility, it earns an 8. When it comes to seating, the most important seat is this seat in the house because you want to be able to control this vehicle. If you put it on an autocross track, you put it on a racetrack, or you just want to have fun driving it, you want to be able to be comfortable. So starting with the seat belts, they're not adjustable height, although not all the vehicles in this category have that. The steering wheel is adjustable, although not as adjustable as it could be, and the seats have only manual adjustments and no lumbar. As far as the seating material, it is a suede material, which is nice so you don't slide around in the seat. That's good when you're putting this into a performance type environment. But I will tell you there is no lumbar, and I found the seats to be pretty uncomfortable. They are equal both driver and passenger with just manual adjustments. The back seat, well, that's another story. The back seat is great if you've got a dog, a set of golf clubs, your lunch, but sitting back there, you're not going to want to sit for long. I'll show you why. There's no room for your feet underneath the seat, and I don't think I can even get in here without having my legs up here. It is quite tight. I wouldn't want to sit back here. The space is like nothing, and it's kind of disappointing. Because of that, and also if you're any taller than I am, I'm 5'8". If I sit all the way back, my head is really close to the glass, and I'm short in the torso. If you're tall in the torso or you're any taller than me, don't even try sitting back here unless maybe you do this. You sit sideways. I hate putting my feet on the interior of the car. Sorry, Subaru. But I can sit like this, but this is completely unsafe, and then you don't have your seatbelt on. There is 2 seats back here, and they do have 2 latch systems. I don't think I'd put a child back here. If you put this seat all the way forward, maybe you could put a child safety seat here. Again, that would be in a desperate type of situation. But overall, for seating, that's where its downfall is as far as I'm concerned, and it earns a 5. When it comes to technology, there is a new large 8-inch screen. It has fixed buttons for easy use, which I appreciate. You've got your home button, phone, and your apps right here, but it's also touch screen, so you can make it whatever you want. You can press the button, or you can press the button. Radio, forward, and reverse. Very standard, very easy to use, but there's some nice features that are in here. Besides your media and your phone, which you can connect the device through Bluetooth, there's Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. You also have the apps. Now, in the apps, you have the connection for those, plus Travel Link, your Subaru Starlink, and then under My Subaru. Under that, you can make an appointment. It also has some interesting features that you don't see on other vehicles. It's very slow loading, which I'm kind of surprised, but there is onboard connectivity, and that's part of the reason. Now you can schedule your appointments here or schedule your maintenance here. And again, it's got the 6,000 miles or 6-month service current maintenance interval, which is nice. Gives you all the details that you need. Also part of the settings, you have your clock, your driver profiles. You can choose your display, what you want, your Wi-Fi and your hotspot. Set up your sound as you wish, your phone, Apple CarPlay and such. And then in addition, you've got radio settings, what you want, your car settings. Very simple, easy to use, very intuitive, and then head back to that home screen. What I do like is it gives you the maintenance information, which you typically don't see on vehicles. You can get minimal information, but this tells you the last time the engine oil was changed, the oil filter, your maintenance schedule, and so forth. Very nice little feature. Some basic information, but it's a pretty basic screen and a little bit slow on the response for connecting to the Wi-Fi. Going over to the gauges in front of you, on the left side, that is customizable with the button on the right side of the steering wheel. You can either have the battery and the oil temperature, your tire pressure, your average fuel economy and speed, all that is right there. In the center, you've got your speedometer, which is digital, which is nice. You go into the sport mode, like we talked about in performance, and it does that. But when you hold the button down for race, it changes it to the different type of information. You've got the tachometer in front of you, and the speedometer gets smaller because you need to know engine revs, especially when you're driving a manual transmission. So when you switch back to the sport mode, or you go into the snow mode, it shows you that as well. Other good information. Pretty simple, pretty basic. Works as stated. Over here, you've got your temperatures and your fuel levels. Some pretty, again, basic information. When it comes to technology, there's not a lot, but there is some improvements with the larger screen, and that is appreciated. Compared to other vehicles in the category, for technology, this vehicle earns a 6. Starting with features, the steering wheel is pretty easy to use. You've got all of your source information here for audio and your phone right there. And on this side of the steering wheel, you've got your safety features, the few that there are, voice controls, and this adjusts that gauge to the left of the steering wheel. On the left side of the steering wheel, you have your shift down and your turn signals and headlights. On the right side, you have the upshift paddle, which I did use and I liked, and your wiper blades. In front of you, you have this very large trip reset button. I usually don't see them this large. Usually they're just a typical little button that you push, but this is pretty obvious. You've got the gauges, which we covered, and all the information and technology, pretty simple to use. On the left side of the steering wheel, you have a vent. Further down, you've got your brightness and your trunk adjustment. Aluminum pedals, which I do think are cool and very sporty. And then heading over to the door, you have your normal door handles, your mirror adjustments, your window lifts, and your locks, and the storage for a very large cup holder. There is no other storage in the doors but here, so it just depends what you put there, and they even give you a little suggestion on what to put there and what not to. Moving over to the center, you've got your vents, your new 8-inch screen, the climate control adjustments, which are very nice to use. You can actually feel the click, which I appreciate. Start, stop button there. And then you've got some additional buttons here. Going down to the buttons below, you've got your auto, your defrost for the front and rear, which includes the mirrors, shutting the climate control off, the different modes for where the air comes out, recirculation, air conditioning, sinking, and max air. Going further back, we have the automatic transmission, which is a 6-speed. I kind of wish it was a manual, but I did use the pedal shift and I found it to work really nicely. Nice little leatherette type boot, and I do like the red stitching, and a parking brake, which is great for the winter. So you can do parking brake turns. My kids used to love when I did that with them in the car. Okay, now they just do it themselves. Shutting off the traction control, your snow mode at sport mode, and then the race or track mode, you just hold that button down and it changes the mode. Behind the drive modes, you've got 2 low and high settings for the heated seats, which do work quite quickly. There is no heated steering wheel. A little bit of storage here. Moving on to the center console, press that button and you've got even more connectivity and 2 cup holders. So it's either put things in the cup holder or put drinks in the cup holder. There's very limited storage. The overhead console has the Starlink emergency connectivity, which is great in case something happens. Although there are very limited features, there are some nice features in this car, including the dash and the design materials, which is an improvement. Overall, when it comes to features, this vehicle earns a 7. There are a lot of new design features on this vehicle, starting off with the front end. It looks a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more muscular, and I think that was needed. When you increase horsepower, you increase that aggressive feel of this vehicle, and they've brought that into the look of the vehicle. And I'm not always the biggest Subaru fan, but this really was a big departure for me and a big improvement. I know it's not a lot of horsepower overall, but I like the design cues. They've changed things, including the roof, which has 2 humps to clear taller passengers and drivers, and you can see that reflected on the inside of the vehicle where there's actually bumps as well. The hood is aggressive, the Subaru logo is nice, it's not too much in your face, and they used matte black, which is smart to keep the dirt at a minimum, because when it's shiny, it really stands out when you have a bug that's splattered itself on the front of the front splitter. Again, this is a really nice new look. The base wheel is a 17-inch wheel, but our limited package, which comes with an automatic, is on an 18-inch Michelin tire. They're 215, 40 are 18s, and these are Michelin Performance summer tires. So if you're going to drive it through the winter, you're going to need snow tires. However, on the 17-inch, they're the same look, and I really like the matte gray look. One other thing to note is they put these vents in here, and they are functional. They actually do work. How much they're cooling, I don't know, but the fact is this is a really nice design detail, which makes this look, again, more muscular and more sporty. Going around to the back, you'll see that there are not too many changes, but I do like that rear wing. Around the back, you've got your LED taillights, Subaru and BRZ, nicely done, pretty clean, and then the dual exhaust and the rear valance. Overall, I think they did a nice job with the design of this vehicle of good improvement because there's performance improvements both inside and out. This vehicle earns an 8. When it comes to quality for this vehicle, there's a lot of durable materials inside, and they're using name brand products, which is important. Paint quality is good, as well as the build quality. It has a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty and a 5-year powertrain warranty. And I know you're going to be driving this thing a lot, but there is no scheduled maintenance included. For quality for this vehicle, it earns an 8. Coming around to the back, to open the trunk is as easy as pressing this button directly above the Subaru logo, and you have 6.3 cubic feet of storage, which is much less than that of the competition. There is no spare tire, there is a tire inflation product, and in order to access the rear seats, you have to move the front seats forward, reach around and back, manually lift up the handle to fold this down. It's kind of cumbersome. It would be nice if you had access to folding them down from here, but you don't. When it comes to price of this vehicle, it starts around $29,000. Our test vehicle is a limited, which includes heated seats and some additional safety features, which I think is necessary. I do prefer the manual over the automatic because they sell 85% manuals, like I was saying earlier. So it's something to keep in mind if you're going to buy this vehicle with an automatic. It is really a fun car to drive either way, but the value of this vehicle was $33,000. When you compare it to the Toyota 86, the Mini Cooper, and the other vehicles like the Fiat Abarth, you start looking at some of these prices and realize this is a really good price point. And for value, this vehicle earns a 7. Now, when you take all the categories together and you look at the pluses and minuses, as far as pluses, it's a lot more fun to drive. Really well handling vehicle, make a fun autocross car because it's just a good balance, especially with the new upgrades to the differential and the handling features. When it comes to power, more is always better in my book, but this is a budget-friendly sports car. You could have fun with this all the time, maybe even during the winter because it's got a parking brake and you can have some parking brake turns. Where the negatives come in is the antiquated technology. It is an improvement, however, it's kind of dated, although there is Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The trunk is small and the back seat is great for golf clubs or an animal. I certainly wouldn't want to put anyone back there for more than a very, very short ride. But overall, this vehicle has improved a lot. And therefore, when you add up all 10 categories for the 2022 Subaru BRZ, it earns a 73. Now that's pretty good when you compare it to the other vehicles in this category. This is not compared to literally every vehicle. I'm sure the Subi lovers out there are going to give me a tough time. You can put that in the comments down below. If you got value from this video, make sure to like and share and subscribe. And I will answer your questions if I didn't cover every single area because there is a lot on this vehicle without getting into a deep dive. The idea is that you get some information, decide, is this a vehicle I want to test drive? Is this a vehicle I want to own? Make sure to check with your insurance agent to make sure that this rate compared to whatever else you're looking at is going to make a difference along with the payment of the car and the cost of fuel. Things you need to think about that are very easy to overlook when you're purchasing a vehicle. I'll have additional information on our website. It's available in English and Spanish at carcoachreports.com. Follow us on all forms of social media at LaurenFix and check out our podcast, Total Car Score. It's available on all platforms. We talk to internal people from all brands, including Subaru, and get some insight that you might not get on why they built these cars the way they did and how it affects the vehicles they're going to build in the future. We appreciate you watching, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time.